And we are live. How good it feels to be alive. Hang tight with me, everybody, while I set up the technical infrastructure. Here we go. Live on Instagram. I'm declining all my note takers. And bam, welcome to the Daily Sigh. This is your entrepreneurial update. If you're an entrepreneur trying to keep up with what actually matters, this is for you. I go live every single business day at 6 p.m. Eastern in order to give you everything that matters in the world of business, entrepreneurship, AI, updates, policy, etc. If you want the Daily Sigh delivered directly to your inbox, go to dailysigh.ai. I'll send you a daily or weekly summary. It's up to you. If you want to come hang out with us, what you can do is go to dailysigh.ai and click the join live button. You'll join my free forever community. You'll get access to the Zoom link inside of the calendar and come hang out with some of the smartest entrepreneurs in the whole wide world as we figure out how to navigate the post AI world. Before I turn it over to the council, let me quick give you the news. Today is April 20th. It's a Monday. And the world is interesting, man. Hyatt has deployed advanced AI across their global workforce, according to OpenAI. This is a massive signal of speed and scale in the real world economy. A global hospitality brand is moving from experiment to full implementation of GPT 5.4 and Codex across its entire organization. This is the first time I've seen one of the Fortune 100 actually like with the ubiquitous all painting brush deploy AI. Normally it's been something of a, I don't know what to call it, spot check, but this is their whole kit and caboodle. From AI News, Claude and OpenAI launched fully managed AI agents. Anthropic's new Claude features and OpenAI's Agent SDK sandbox signal the end of, quote, assembly required phase for autonomous workflows. We'll see how that works. I've been playing with Claude Code today, and we started setting up some of our agents internally, me and my business partner, and they're blowing my mind, man. From AI News, Snap cut 16% of its staff as AI generates 65% of new code. This is a visceral data point for headcount strategy. Snap explicitly cited AI code generation as a primary driver for increased engineering efficiency and subsequent layoffs. Ouch. From Google News, Adobe unveils AI agents for businesses to counter disruption. Major software incumbents like Adobe are now building the very tools that could disrupt their own traditional business models. They're providing adaptation tools directly to businesses, creating a new layer of software that acts on behalf of the user rather than just waiting on their input. This is interesting. Businesses have the choice as to whether or not they disrupt their own business. A lot of people don't know that Kodak invented the digital camera and then chose to bury it. And then that decision came to bite them in the ass. From Google News, S&P 500 pushes past 7,000 amid global volatility. Sustained investor optimism is keeping the window open for debt and equity raises for businesses in the 500K to 10 million revenue range. Geopolitical tension in the Strait of Hormuz is creating fresh market confusion, causing stock futures to fall and oil prices to rise. Some backup stories from MIT Technology Review, Chinese tech workers training AI replacements. A project called Colleague Skill has workers that train AI agents to replicate their own traits. That hurts. AI News reports YouTube's AI rewires the creator economy. A new system matches businesses with creators, cutting out traditional middlemen. Oh shit. Middlemen in any sector are the endangered species. That's absolutely true. Also from AI News, Shadow AI, the internal ticking time bomb. Unsanctioned AI used by employees creates productivity gains, but also massive security liabilities. From Google News, AI rapper startups facing rapid shutdowns. Startups built solely on top of LLMs without proprietary data are failing as margins compress. Shocker. And from The Information, Google and Marvell co-developing custom AI chips. Google is in talks to build custom AI hardware to cut inference costs by 20 to 50%. I don't know what that means. Maybe the council can tell me. So, without further ado, let's move it over to our illustrious council, a group that I've come to know and love. Let's enable. How do I do that again? I should learn to use Zoom. We got some oldies and some goodies, some new faces, some fresh faces. Sunit, Jason, Dan Fitzpatrick, Steve Nelson, what's up, buddy? Brandon, Neil, Elliot, Grant, Jason Croft, Dylan Fetch, Clinton Martin, Kai, Lee, I think you're new. Wayne, Eric. Eric, is this your first time on this call? Have you been on a Daily Sigh? I just see your face everywhere, so I don't know where I have not seen you.
Yeah, I'm trying not to make it obvious I'm following you, but this is the first time on the Daily Sigh.
Bro, I accept stalkers in every manifestation allowed. Can you introduce yourself to everybody? Tell them who you are, why you're here, what you do, all that fun stuff.
Cool. So Eric Prospero here. I'm trying to garden at the same time while taking this call, so I hope you guys don't mind. But I have an e-learning agency. We develop online content specifically for training. Uh, One of the niches we're really big into is the association space, and I'm just a big fan of what Qasim's doing, trying to learn more, exit my business eventually.
I appreciate it, man. I've known you for shit. It's been more than 10 years.
Yeah, for just about, I think 2016, 2017.
Yeah. So me and Eric go way back, and I've got to watch his business grow. He's watched mine grow. Good to see a friendly face. Dan Fitzpatrick.
Hey,
What up,
buddy.
butter? How you doing, man?
How are you, man?
You finally figured out the Zoom button.
Well, it took me a while. I'm
Yeah.
old school. I'm older than I look, so I missed the wheel on the
Yeah.
BlackBerry, frankly, So
Dude, I miss a full QWERTY keyboard. I'm with you. Dan, can
I
you tell everybody who you are and what you're about?
yeah, sure. Qasim, I've known you for what? I think a couple of years through Steve Sims, actually.
Yeah, at least 4 or 5.
Maybe more, yeah.
Yeah. Fun
I've
fact
got
about that, Dan got to sing on stage with Journey because of Steve Sims. So Dan, you're one of Steve's favorite stories.
That's a good story. Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the guy, and every time he tells it, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But
That's Steve.
But yeah, that's Steve. But what really happened was I was out on Necker Island for a mastermind thing with Joe Polish, and I was talking to Richard Branson. And to make a long story short, he said, "Yeah, I think I could get you set up with Journey if you want," because we were talking about how much money would you pay Virgin Unites to do something that you've always wanted to do? And so that was it. He gives me the name of his New York office and says, "Yeah, call them. They can set it up." So I called him like it's freaking New York, like 3 different times, 4 different times. "Yeah, we'll get back to you." Finally, I said, is this really one of those like, don't call me, I'll call you?
Ugh,
And she goes, "Yeah, kind of like that." So I mentioned it to Joe Paula. She goes, "Call Steve Sims." And within like 4 hours,
it's
Steve
done.
goes, "Okay, we're talking." So anyway, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
fun, really fun time.
And what
I'm,
do you
I'm
do,
still
Dan? Tell
living the
everybody why you're
dream on
famous.
that. Say what?
Tell everybody why you're famous.
Oh, well, I guess I'm famous. I have a couple websites, stockmarketmentor.com, and I'm just starting Fitzpatrick Trading Group, which is the next iteration. But I do financial stuff on CNBC and Fox Business, but mostly just online here. I'm trying to learn everything I can from you, Qasim. You
Yeah.
are awesome.
Yeah. Well, it
And
won't take long. If you've got 15 minutes, I can tell you everything I know. And then after that, we're
well,
gonna go to
I
council.
got to tell you, and I don't think that I'm alone in this. You have to be one of the smartest guys that I've ever met, and but then at the same time, one of the most humble guys I ever met. And typically those two don't go together. At least that's what I've seen.
That's kind
Anyway,
of you, Dan. I've
so
got a lot to be humble about. So I appreciate both compliments. I'll take them.
yeah, thanks,
I see
brother.
watching live. Dude, all my friends are watching live. Tyler, why aren't you in the Zoom? Ryan Petit, what the hell? A beer. I know you know the link. Screw you guys. Go to dailysigh.ai, click join live, come to my free forever community and hang out with us. Let's see your face. Who has not introduced themselves? Has anybody not piped up and said this is who I am and this is why I'm here? Because we got to keep it going. We got to keep it. I feel good. Y'all feel good? All right. Sunit, what is with the Trump hat, dude? You know that gets mistaken. What were
By
y'all
you,
thinking?
bro. This
What?
color hits so well. There is
It really
no
does.
mistaking
Yeah.
it, dude. There is no fucking sorry. There's no mistaking it.
There is absolutely, bro.
Don't say
If I
that.
can't see the letters, a bright red hat, you wake up and choose violence.
There's no mistaking
All
it,
right.
bro.
So, am I allowed to talk about what you're doing right now? You're the president of a what company?
I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, what's about to happen? The company's about to be
The company will go public this year.
publicly traded. So Sunit just made a great big exit, and dude,
Acquisition. It's an acquisition, right?
oh, it's
Because
an
I still
acquisition.
work there,
All
right?
right.
My partners exited, but my
Yeah, yeah.
company
So
was,
4 partners, 3 of them got to fuck off, and you have to stay and be the president of the publicly traded company.
which also I wanted to do.
Yeah, I know that
As
about
you
you.
know,
Yeah, I know
you
a little
guys,
bit about your comp package. I know you went out there.
when I was When I was going through this and I didn't want to burn my lawyer's hours, I would call Qasim.
That's so funny. Yeah, bro. I'm as smart as a really cheap lawyer. That's true.
Well, Gemini did just as good of a job with the contract disclosures as my
Yeah.
lawyer, so.
Isn't that funny? Sunit's one of my favorite people. I know y'all have got the chance to have some exposure to him. Here's what's really interesting about Sunit, and talking about humility, he's, I think, an extraordinarily humble person too, especially given how successful he is. He was called the King of California Cannabis and the King of California. No, the King of, it wasn't just California, was it? It was nationwide.
Today's 420.
Oh yeah. So in honor of 420, Sunit was the King of Cannabis and the King of California real estate in the
In the
same decade.
decade. Yes.
And now runs a publicly traded or soon to be publicly traded company.
I'm a president of a part of a publicly traded company.
Bro, you're already getting your PR training. You're so good. There's little, yeah, that's really great. And you put a restraining order on the President of the United States of America, and your house was raided by three-letter agency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real redemption arc.
It really is, dude. You've got what a story. What a council, man. Our whole council is just full of like badasses and killers. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited y'all are here too. I want to keep it actionable. I have to tell y'all, I've been messing with Claude Code, really just because my business partner, Yvonne, made me do it. And I went, and this was inspired by a lot of people on this call. But what Yvonne has walked me through in terms of connecting Claude Code with Google Drive, local to my device, and then patching in Obsidian, which again, all of those tools have been something double clicked by different people. But that trifecta creates effectively hands-off digital EA. Like I'm blown away by everything that it's capable of right now.
But
And
with Claude Code, though.
with Claude Code. And the Claude Code connectors, dude. The connectors are the unlock. Like Yvonne just taught me, Cloudflare has this really cool feature that I wasn't aware of. I don't even know how to, hold on, I gotta go find wherever it is. Cloudflare has this really cool feature called, wait for it because I have it written down. I promise I'm gonna find it and it's gonna be worth it and everybody's gonna love me. Workers. So Cloudflare Workers, if you put all your domain names in Cloudflare, and then make them available to this feature's called Workers, and then connect your GitHub to Cloudflare. Claude can create websites and deploy those websites in GitHub and connect your domain names within literally seconds. As fast as it took me to say that, you could be building websites for everything that you've got. Now, here's what's really interesting. I've got a few thousand domain names, like per Belcher. All of those domain names get some amount of traffic, 10 hits a month to 10,000 hits a month, depending on the name. We could be creating,
Oh my God.
you know what I'm saying? You already see it, right? Like, I mean, the level of, I don't know, it's just, all the opportunity in front of me is so overwhelming. And then I do nothing, is I get overwhelmed and I get nothing. So that was my action item number one. I want to turn it over to the council for y'all's action items, but I'm going to keep the mic for just 10 seconds longer. I spent all day out in the field today, with my new business partner, Bobby Lanham. He and I just launched our septic company. And we went down to the Apache Junction is a city in Phoenix. We went down to Apache Junction water treatment and we talked about what we need to do to unload our septic trucks. We went and looked for the storage fields. Here's why I'm bringing it up. Nobody in the trades is doing it right. I hate to say that, but I'm looking at all these other septic companies or grease trap companies are like, they are not doing business well. And if you see what I see, which is this digital atrophy, man, I think hopping over to the analog world feels right now like a hell of an opportunity that might be 18 months ahead of the curve. And I like septic a lot because it takes, it's 120 grand per truck. We're already talking about getting our second truck, by the way. So for whatever that's worth, that's two action items for you. Go play with Claude Code, connect it to Google Drive, connect it to Obsidian. Holy shit. And go get into the trades somehow. If you don't have money, go find a tradesperson because none of the kids want the business. So every tradesperson is 60. It's a 65-year-old male who spent the last 40 years building this business and has no idea who to give it to. So there's a real apprenticeship opportunity if you're young and you want to do some real work. Man, I swear to God, if you just spent this week calling, I promise you'll find somebody. If you're like, hey, I want to work for you, I'd like to work for you for as cheap as possible. I want to learn the business because on a long enough timeline, I want to buy it from you. And then talk about the easiest terms. Those are my 2 action items. I'd love it if we kept this actionable and if y'all gave me yours. Steve, you got your hand up, so you get to go first.
Thanks, man. Just a quick one. You started on Claude Code, which is really cool because I was going to ask today, what does someone do like me who uses AI to help do outreach and emails and strategies and stuff, but putting agents together in your network without sabotaging the whole thing and having carnage, like, is there certain videos that the council can suggest I work through to sort of get started, to start to automate using AI agents? And
Council, anybody have a good answer for that?
Connect.
Jake Van Cleef.
Oh yeah.
What were you gonna say, Sunit?
I don't know, like if you wanted to send out all the stuff, you could just build it all like with a MCP and a go high level and just fire it off and have it build it through some prompts, right? And just say, hey, ship this to go high level, build it out. That'd be an easy way. You have go high level, Steve?
yes, yeah, we do.
So if you go into Claude Code, then you could do whatever MCP with the create a new private integration for GHL, right? And then copy that code and drop it in there. And you could like probably get a bunch of marketing skills on GitHub. Um,
GitHub, yeah.
yeah, but bro, like I don't think Cloud Code is the way.
Bro,
I
that's what
think
Dylan just said. Tell me why. What
I
did I
think
do wrong?
I think Cowork is the way. He likes local Google, which I think is fascinating too. Um,
Dylan, you're on Codex. Why Codex? What is Codex and why are you on it? Why not Claude Code?
Codex is ChatGPT.
Okay.
It's the
Yeah,
same. It's Claude Code for ChatGPT.
and the OpenClaw guy came out and said the same thing. He said Codex is quite a bit stronger than Claude
a lot
Code.
of people at Driven were saying that, I thought.
Yes, Cornet, who
Cornet
runs,
was saying
yeah,
it.
Cornet
Yeah.
was
And
saying,
he's ahead of the curve.
yeah. Can I say something ignorant, dude? I don't think it matters. I think you should pick one and then commit until it falls too far behind. Because if we keep playing tool hop, you're going to spend too much time going back and forth. I think,
You just make the second brain, right? Right,
dude, that's
Dustin?
exactly, yeah, well, that's why I'm so obsessed with data sovereignty. But the question is speed of light. It's like, which light speed spaceship should I board? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. Get on one. You know what I mean? Get on. It's like, well, this one doesn't have air conditioning. I'm like, I don't care. Get on one and then move. And I do understand what Dylan's saying. Like, if you haven't chosen yet, maybe Claude Code's stupid and Codex is smarter. And I already spent like a day building it, so in my mind, I'm committed.
So if I'm already into Gemini and using that and just get
Mhm.
the pro version, do I just stick with that and go the ultra version, the more expensive one, and start to build?
I don't think
I don't know
Gemini
the
has an
agentic
analogous
stuff.
version, does it?
I don't-
It has anti-gravity, which is the equivalent of cursor, which is in the same. They're all called harnesses. It's in the same realm. Also, Claude Code is the. There are benchmarks for the harnesses that will take the same model and use them in the different harnesses. Claude Code is not the best harness for Claude, and it is designed by them.
That's so funny.
That's one of the reasons that like they say that the models aren't getting dumber. It's Claude Code that's getting dumber. I had the worst weekend of AI I've ever had. I had to leave the
Wow.
house. I like I had 3 consecutive failed trainings. The first one, it did the training and it didn't save the weights. Like the output of training a model is the weights. It in its reasoning, it said that the weights were too big to commit to get, so it ignored them and just threw them away. And so I had to train again. And the second time I trained, uh, the instance became inaccessible. And so I woke up to it had stopped at 4 a.m. The instance had been running for 9 hours, at 2.25 an hour, which um that is funny, Neil. I didn't consider that. No, yeah, that's a pretty rare occurrence for me to leave the house. But yeah, I like just the word like so all right, here's an example. I asked it specifically, how do I get you to do work and stop making shit up? And it
Mm,
said, I will make a rule for myself that I cannot make claims without evidence. And then one message later, it gave me these values. And I said, how did you come to that conclusion? And it said, I didn't. I made them up. Dude, I was like,
I'm watching a man in an abusive relationship right now. You wanna know? That's so funny, dude. Uh, so what do you do?
I went to Codex. I'm going to try some other. There's like a lot of these apparently. Like Hermes is kind of in the same realm. It's like it's adjacent to OpenClaw, but it's also adjacent to Claude Code and things. There's one called Pi. There's OpenCode. There's
Mm,
like, but the difficulty is you can't always use your subscription. Sometimes you have to use API, which costs more. And you can use OpenRouter to like send it to different models and things. But yeah, so I'm gonna be exploring that. The head of AI at AMD, the chip company, to over the weekend opened a GitHub issue, which so that's like a very official thing, and shared data she has been collecting since February, demonstrating that Claude Code has gotten worse. And my favorite metric she shared was the rate of developers cursing at the AI has increased by 68%.
that's so funny.
It
What a
used
beautiful KPI.
64 times as many API calls for noticeably worse results. An API call every time costs you tokens, and
Yeah.
that includes like it's not just your message, it includes the context and the entirety of your conversation so far. It used like 80 times as many tokens, despite yeah, I don't know. I listened to like a 45-minute video going over all of these various because people always say this, like this one sucks, it's getting worse, but like people in very high positions are like showing receipts that it's gotten worse. So yeah, I don't know. I'm in a tailspin, buddy.
Mm. Well, it also occurs to me that your level of use, just from a complexity perspective, is, I mean, you're pretty far out there as far as the horizon is concerned, right? Like you're on, I don't know what the cutting edge feels like a buzzword, and the stuff that I hear you doing, I don't know. I guess what I'm asking is for the rest of us, uh, is this conversation as relevant? Like if I'm not trying to do the shit that Dylan's trying to do, does it matter to me? Or and maybe it absolutely does. I don't want to be ignorant either.
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that possibly like it will happen to you on a smaller scale or just the problems where occur differently. I spoke to a developer just before this and he said he had difficulty, not the level of difficulty I had, but also he's using Cursor and in the stuff I heard today, Cursor performs 15 to 20% better with Claude than Claude Code with Claude because
Wow.
Cursor is its own harness. It replaces Claude Code. But again, you have to use API. But yeah,
Before we navigate away, because I see three hands up, I just want to make sure we're answering Steve's question. Steve asked, "What do I do if I want to start using agentic AI and I don't know where to start?" Dylan dropped Jake Van Cleef's name and school community in the chat thread. There's been a couple of thumbs up on Jake too. Anybody else want to offer Steve other advice or other guidance before we move on?
Is that the quantum quill, Lucim? Is that the
Yep.
excellent? I
Yeah,
missed
and
that.
Jake
Thank
comes
you.
up a lot, dude. Like his name gets, it's more or less on repeat now. So, um,
Thanks, guys. That's
yeah,
perfect.
that's a great place to start. Good advice, counsel. Brandon, you're up. Jason, you're on deck.
I like Jake because he talks about the folder structure versus like get out of the idea of it being agentic and true agents. It's just folders going in there and assigning the right structure. But to Dylan's uh, your situation there of like your frustration at AI. I wonder if anybody's actually like tracking how much more productive, really, truly productive from the bottom line is someone and the average person actually becoming with the use of AI versus just playing around and screwing around and jumping from program to program and wasting an ass load of time, in all honesty. Because like if I actually stop playing around and do what I know that I need to do that moves the needle and use AI where I know it can help me in certain areas and stop playing around and stop just going down the YouTube hole of watching everybody's training and everybody's school, I
Yeah.
get further along when I turn off the noise. And I know that so many companies they're throwing so much noise out there that hey, yeah, we are getting rid of employees because we're this much productive, and they're lying their ass off because they're not really that much more productive. They're just trying to cut costs, and we've talked about this. They're just laying off employees for the sake of laying off employees to be, much more. Yeah, calendars or Calendly, like I don't need an AI to come in there and tell me how to manage my day, right? If you didn't know how to manage your day beforehand, you're just pretty poor at
You
production,
got problems.
right?
That's so funny, dude.
You
Yeah.
know? And then off of the AI aspect, I just wanted to talk because we had spoken about medicine, and you're talking about doing things that are outside of the world of just computers and in the analog world. Trump signed the Ibogaine initiative, and I kind of had talked about that. That was on Saturday. That was pretty big news.
I didn't know
And
that.
Ibogaine, we talked a few weeks back that it has an 85% success rate for getting people off of opiates the
One
first time,
dose, dude.
one
One
dose,
dose. Yeah.
98 on the second dose.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that. So
yeah,
it's 100
98.
by 2 doses, it's effectively 100% adjusted for margin of error.
Yeah, 100%. And
Wow.
so there was like a really great CNN. I'll leave it in the article of the whole hour-long aspect. And I said my partner, she works with Brian Hubbard, the guy from Americans from Ibogaine, and that was just really huge because Joe Rogan. They did a follow-up with Joe Rogan and Governor Perry from Texas and Brian Hubbard. And within like a week of Joe Rogan sending a text to Trump, he had that on the desk for an executive order, which was signed on Saturday. So from an analog world, if it all goes to crap, there's still going to be a lot of people that need healing and ceremony and a lot of work from that aspect. So I can't pump sewers, but I can help in that aspect.
Dude, I love that. I was, a little humble brag. I don't know what to call it, name dropping, but it was really powerful. I was in the room when Jeff Hayes interviewed Rick Perry on Ibogaine. And Rick Perry was a lock him up and throw away the key
Yep.
legislator. Like he's very anti-drug. And his story came through Marcus Luttrell, who lived with him and his wife. And Luttrell, for those of you know, was a Navy SEAL, lost everybody in his unit to an event that's documented, and also the truth wasn't told there, according to his own testimony. But he was all the way messed up, dude. And Ibogaine brought him back. And then Rick Perry went and did it, which is a dangerous thing for a man in his position to say. It's a dangerous thing to talk about. And he said it was like being escorted through hell knowing he'd be allowed to return. And
Yep.
it's one of the only things that regrows brain matter.
He had
Uh,
a 26% increase in his prefrontal cortex growth.
wow.
And so from what it does for people with, I sent the link for the CNN video, I think, or CBS News video on there. It's an hour long for people that want to watch it and do it. Because Marcus Luttrell and his brother, they're twin brothers. They were both Navy SEALs. One's in Congress. Marcus wasn't. Marcus ended up living with Rick Perry at the governor's mansion for a number of years while going through his rehab and going
Yeah.
into these different places in and out. But yeah, 26% growth in prefrontal cortex,
For Marcus or
Parkinson's
for Perry?
for Perry.
Okay.
Yeah, he did I don't know, like Marcus doesn't talk about what he's the regrown. There's another video that my
Well,
partner
Marcus
had.
did it 4 times. He had to keep going back.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hell. I've gone through it.
Oh, you've done
And it is
Ibogaine.
like, yes,
Did you go to,
100%.
where'd
I
you go to
left
TJ? Where'd you go?
Canada.
Oh, dude, you're
Yeah,
the same person.
Vancouver.
Tell me that. Okay.
Yep. It was in end of February. I went with my partner. I went for quitting smoking, which it worked. And there was a big not knowing whether it did because it really works more on, they say opiate receptors, but it worked on the nicotine receptors as well. And so it's being studied. They're going to grant like 50 million extra to the states that are approving it. from the federal aspect for the studying of it, and it's been added to the right to try model that Trump came out with. So for veterans, anyone with like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and other brain injuries, I told you I was wearing reading
Yeah.
glasses beforehand, and I don't wear it anymore. So it
No
fixed like my
way.
eyesight at the same time as an
Wow.
after effect of being able to uh, quit smoking.
Dude, that's
No,
amazing. My baby brother was a heroin addict. Uh, and that's still, I mean, he's been clean for approaching a decade, but it still calls, you know. And
the
so I
hard
want,
aspect is that you go through like these other types of detoxification programs, and a lot of people you lose it's the dopamine receptor that's the lack of having dopamine in your body, and it's a multi-year process for someone who actually quits, and that's why they keep relapsing, is
Mhm.
because they don't have the ability to get that dopamine back. It's like basically canceled out for a couple of years. So imagine living gray and flat and
Yeah,
being like remembering that the only thing you have is the high that made you feel these emotions.
yeah.
And so what ibogaine does is it comes in there and it fixes that and regrows it. And so you are an accelerated ability to actually start feeling normal again. And then that cuts, you not only do you not have the desire to touch it because you went through hell and you witnessed what you have done to yourself, but on top of it, you just have these dopamine receptors back into your body.
Dude, I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing that with me, Brandon. That's really meaningful. I love that that got pushed through. That's good news.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to share something off of the AI aspect.
Yeah. Well, and it to the point that you're making, it's an alternative approach. It's going to be heavily regulated, and there's a business opportunity there. One of my clients was Gerald. What was Gerald's last name? He was one of the five co-founders of Sprint. Billionaire with a B, massively depressed. And he was the first person to get ketamine approved in this country for therapeutic use. And he got rated twice, but he's the sole reason ketamine was allowed to be used therapeutically. Because as a billionaire, he was able to use whatever he wanted. He was like, "This is the only thing that helped."
Right.
So yeah, it's cool when somebody like champions that. Jason, you're up. Stacy, you're on deck.
I'll let Stacy go first since she doesn't get a chance to ask questions frequently. So I'll yield the floor to the lady
What a
first.
beautiful human and chivalrous man you are. Thank you, Jason. Stacy, you're up.
Thank you. That wasn't necessary, but I appreciate it, Jason. So a couple of things. First of all, I don't know a lot about ibogaine, if I'm saying it correctly. I just
Yes,
quickly
ma'am.
went and did a little search for it. But I think that if it's something that will help people who have gotten it sounds like physical trauma as well as mental health issues, if it can help repair those things, I'm all for it. The only thing, and I have another question, but I just want to say this. The thing that concerns me the most, I heard you say, oh, there's a business opportunity, which I respect. That's what a lot of us are entrepreneurs, right? I get that and I love that. And at the same time, the thing that bothers me the most is when anything um, is there that can help people, and the people who have the money to perhaps bring it to sell it, to offer it, to provide it, take advantage and then misuse it in ways that hurt people. That always concerns me. So I'm not saying
I
that to
agree.
start a whole new discussion, but I just want to say that too, that I think we have to always be aware and look at how people also, because just like with AI, right? I mean, there's a lot of good that can come out of it, but we know there's going to be a lot, and already is a lot of manipulation, a lot of ways that people are being hurt and taken advantage of because people will use these tools. So I think that's a dichotomy of the world that we live
Oh,
in.
I
We
think
can,
that happened with weed. You know, marijuana was very
right.
medicinal for, the entirety of human history. And then as soon as we found its commercial applications, we've actually ruined it. It's really difficult to find clean medicinal strains of marijuana for that reason. So I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
exactly.
I want to hone in on that because that's true. Like while this is a psychedelic, it's got to be administered from a clinical aspect.
Right.
There is a thing with your heart, a QT interval, that if you have this kind of interval or reading, you're at risk for like heart attack and death. And so it brings your heart rate down very low. You've got to have a magnesium push, and you're hooked up to heart monitors the whole time. But like Dan was asking, is ibogaine effective for disorders such
Yeah.
as schizophrenia or bipolar disorder? And no, it's a contraindication and wouldn't be one to do it. But the interesting thing is that like there's a video. I mean, it can make those diseases worse by going through it, but there's a video by a Harvard professor that did he did carnivore for a person that was schizophrenic and bipolar, and he actually reversed bipolar and schizophrenia in this woman who was sitting in the corner drooling over herself, really wanted to commit suicide. And there's a link between the gut and the second, basically they call the gut your second brain, and actually fixing it. And that woman ended up graduating valedictorian of her school by using carnivore to treat schizophrenia and bipolar. And so, like, it's just
Wow.
amazing how the diet can mess with the mind in that aspect. I'll find that video and I'll share it for you,
That'd be
Dan.
awesome. Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love
I'll
that.
find it while we're on this call and
Oh,
share it.
that's cool. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Brandon. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
but like
Hippocrates, man. All
no one's
disease
ever
starts
going
in
to
the gut.
take ibogaine for a party, right? Like there's 5-MeO DMT, there's DMT, there's marijuana, there's lots of different things, psychedelics and mushrooms. While they all have their therapeutic aspect, these are going to be ibogaine is specifically, and the whole purpose is for them to keep this in a medical facility clinic to make sure that the patient does not die, right? And you're never going to do it because you're never going to party on this aspect. It's not a good time at all. I was in it for like 38 hours, and then the after effects was like I didn't sleep for another 4 days at all. And I thought like there was an aspect of me is like, what did I really do to myself? And a lot of people come out with that kind of feeling, what really happened. But you know, I knew for the greater effect, I wasn't smoking during that time frame at all. And so like you have to go through it if you're wanting to kind of overcome, and from an opiate addicts person to be like coming into that medicine and out of it within 24 hours or 38 hours to be like, I don't want to use and I don't have the withdrawals. It's the withdrawals that stop people from going forward and being successful. And those withdrawals are cut off because of what happens in the healing of the brain within those 24 hours plus.
Wow.
Stacey,
I'd appreciate learning more about that. And being from California here, where In-N-Out Burger is big all over the place, I like the carnivore thing. You know,
Yeah.
I could.
I will share a couple links for both of you, for all of you for the Iboga videos. They're coming now, and then Dan, I'll let you know which one I'm going to find for you for the carnivore treatment of schizophrenia and bipolar.
Okay. Hey, thanks. Thanks, Brandon.
100%. Thank you all for letting me speak, though.
Yeah.
Cool. So actually I wanted to go back to what Dylan was talking about. Dylan, I wasn't even going to join today on camera, but when Dylan was talking, I was like, oh, Dylan, you're not the only one who had like a heartbreaking weekend. And when you talked about it wasn't done, that was you were saying it wasn't done until 4 in the morning. I tell a story somewhere in the last week. I remember being up and working on something, and I use anti-gravity. And you know how you have to say yes, and it wants to bash, and and you have to say yes. So I said, oh, I'm not the only one living that life where you're half waking up so you can continue with what you were working on. But I've been having the same issue. I had anti-gravity actually get hung up. And it was funny because it was getting hung up on certain commands. And it said the same thing. I'm going to make a new rule that I'm not going to use. I think it was Greppo or whatever. I'm not going to use that anymore. That's a new rule. Then, so the first time I was hung up for like just 8 minutes, but then I was gone for 3 hours and came back and it was hung up. And it said, oh yeah, I didn't follow my own rule because I'm expecting things to get done. So I've been experiencing that happening, a lot of hangups this weekend in the last few days on using anti-gravity and Claude within anti-gravity. So I just wanted to share that you weren't the only one experiencing it, and it really is. It's exhausting. It really is, because you're trying to get a certain result and you think you're going to get it, and you keep doing it because you think you're that much closer, and then you do it and then you still don't get where you want to go or where you're expecting to go, and it can be very frustrating. So I just wanted to let you know that you're not the only one experiencing that. And that's what I like listening to you all, but especially the things you share, Dylan, because I think we need to be able to, and I'm creating logs and I'm going to be posting content on this process, not for people like us necessarily, but for people who aren't even where we are and don't know as much as we know about coding and building, who have frustrations like this, so that they can maybe avoid some of this, because it's, and to the point someone else made about, are we spending more time trying to create and fix the things than the results that we're getting from it? For people like me who help people, I have to be persistent and work through it so that I can have answers and solutions so my clients don't. That's the whole point. But it is exhausting, and it's been a little bit of a downer for me lately. So
Thank you for sharing. I have something that may help you with that. If you can look for bypass permissions, they like in Claude, the setting is called dangerously bypass permissions. Like they try to get you to not do it, but like everybody online says to turn that on. And I haven't had it like go crazy and delete System 32 yet. For anyone, System 32 is a file in Windows that if you delete it, everything breaks. And it used to be a joke online to say delete System 32. It makes your computer faster, which I almost fell for once. But yeah, so like it might say like, there's like flashing don't activate this signs, but like that's a liability thing. So there might be I haven't used anti-gravity, but like I said, I know in Claude it's called dangerously bypass permissions. So that can help with the like I need to do this. Let me do it. I need to do like every 5 seconds. So, but yeah, thank you for
yeah,
sharing. It's
and
nice
I
to
appreciate that, and I was aware of it. But since we're finding all these other mistakes, I'm sort of, I mean, I don't read the permissions anyway, right? You just say enter, enter, enter. But at the same time, considering that we know that it's just messing up sometimes, you wonder whether or not you should use that. But thank you. I appreciate you reminding me about that. Thanks.
That's a double click. If anybody's watching this live, what Dylan just shared isn't a recommendation per se, but it lets you know that the feature's available. And if you feel comfortable being responsible for the outcome, that's probably, which by the way, I did. Like, I'm with you. I was like, yeah, let's do that thing. And if it nukes my computer, that's just life. So thank you for that. Thank you for that input, Stacy.
Hey,
We need an anonymous group, like a support group.
Custom, if I can I jump in there because
Yeah.
this is what my hand up was. It's actually tied to Dylan, so I'm going to go kind of the opposite route on it. the the rules, they will not work if you don't enforce it with a hook, and this is directly from Boris Cherney. Hooks enforce rules. I just dropped to an instruction sheet and the files up there, and then essentially code that you can put all of there into Claude. So yes, I agree, Dylan, that the rules don't work within a conversation or from one session to the next. They don't work because they have to be reinforced with the hook. And I was running into that problem until I went back and just studied the development team of Claude. And Boris Cherney was like, hooks enforce rules. So if I tell it not to do something or to do something, I have to put a hook in place that is then put in as a permanent standing. um, I don't want to call it SOP, but you have to put in hooks for every rule. That's number one. Number two, some of the problem that people are running into, I don't know how many people are, if they're on the free plan versus the pro plan versus the max plan, that does come into play with the complexity of work that we are doing because the context window gets long, stuff gets lost up way up there at the top somewhere. So now we have a couple of double problems. The context window isn't long enough. I told her to rule it. I didn't enforce it with the hook. And now throughout the conversation, I'm getting context rot that I'm not aware of. Okay. So in short, what I would say is for every rule that we tell it, and it's going to be correcting on, we in the military call it on the spot correction. Hey, do this, don't do that. And here's the why. And oh, by the way, here's the safety rail that I'm going to put into place that to make sure you do or you don't do something. My recommendation is if it makes financial sense, just get the max plan. I only run Claude Code on max with the 1 million token context window. And with the recent update, the reason that I like it now is because the little indicator in the lower right hand of the corner, it actually shows you how far along you're getting. Like last night, it actually told me I was at 795,000 K, and I was like, I stopped it right there. I said, stop, do a complete backup because I back up to GitHub and Supabase, and I was just like, do a backup, give me a summary, and then I started a completely new session right there. I personally think Claude Code is the way to go, and here's the why. the founders of Anthropic, those two, they used to be in cahoots, for lack of a better term, with Sam Altman, and they all had like a fallout, and they went their own direction. Okay, I don't see I don't see OpenAI having much runway. They're running out of money. Their cash burn is going to get them in trouble, and they just don't have the same kind of backing as Claude. Not from what I can see. Their cash burn. Sam Altman has had to kill projects left, right, here, and there just to keep the ship steaming. And Anthropic is just going to keep outspending them. And here's where it got really interesting. I think you mentioned him before, Qasim. His name is Mo. I was just watching something
Mo
he put up.
Godot.
Yes, listen, Mo said something.
He's worth listening to.
Let me give you this link right here. If you disregard everything I gave you from Claude, but look at this thing that Mo just did. Coding has solved itself, and Boris Cherny will tell you that. That's why I say to try to run opposite of it, all code now is being written by Claude Code. So to try to go opposite of that, regardless of who, everybody's still using it. And what Mo said in that video about, he said that AI is actually underhyped, underhyped, because we really don't understand. And he said it too. He looked at all the engineers there in India. He's like, you guys are stuck to what you used to do. Back to that whole, this is my identity. This is sunken cost. He's just like, you guys need to let go of that and move on. You're not coding anymore. The code is writing a code for itself. All of the magic is happening from your life experiences and your ability to see things seemingly not related and bring them together and create something unique and new. So I won't tell anybody they're wrong. Claude does have its challenges, and I've had them, but I'm telling you, I have spent so much time working through it. And that simple one right there about hooks, right, was everything. And when you start every session, you can have a minimum set of skills and hooks, and you can operate those. And in the minute you start moving in another direction, like I have a code word, I tell it, and then it opens up the complete toolkit and goes, all right, I think I've rambled long enough, and I'm going to mute myself.
Thanks for that input, Jason. Dylan, do you want a quick rebuttal on that before we move on?
I appreciate it. I'm guessing it says in the thing you shared where they go. That's kind of my question is where do they go in Claude MD? Also, I kind of want to pose this question to people. Like, are you unable to switch from Claude Code to Codex and back? Because they're like the same thing. And I don't know if it's just because like I can kind of switch between coding languages, but like yeah, I don't know. The whole like sticking with one tool when to me they're like the same thing is interesting. And that's I'm I'm miscalibrated on things because I keep saying things are easy and then realizing I've just been doing them for 10 years and that's why it's easy.
Yeah, I have no idea how difficult it would be to switch because I've never used Codex. And for me, a lot of it has to do, to be honest with you, with just the habituation of the act. Like it took, in order to update Claude the way that I wanted to use it, I had to take all of my context, which is a few hundred files, and then load it up and then massage it. And doing that again, as silly as it sounds, like a day is an expensive, a not inconsequential expense for me.
You're
And
using
so
it in VS Code, correct?
I don't know the
Claude
difference.
Code in VS Code?
How would I know?
Are you using it in the command line? Is it a black little rectangle with a flashing cursor, or is it like a whole basically Microsoft Word but gray?
I'm inside of Claude, the desktop app, having chosen code in a thread.
He's using Claude
Okay.
Desktop. He's using the Claude
Yeah,
Desktop.
so that's good.
Okay.
Dylan, are you using it at the command line? Are you using it at the terminal level? Is that because I go in between the terminal level and the desktop? Which one do you use, Dylan? Because that is a big discriminator.
I'm in VS Code.
Yeah, okay.
So even if you're using the Claude desktop app and you have all of your stuff in a folder, you can download the Codex desktop app and open the same folder.
Yeah, but the
Codex,
context, it's not the folder, right? It's the context, it's the conversation that I've had with Claude that I don't want to lose.
The conversation you've had with Claude is gone. every time you restart, and you should be restarting every 10 to 15 messages. The context needs to be saved in files in your folders. And then you can open up Codex and say, hey, look at Claude MD and use that to write Agents MD, which is the Codex version of Claude MD. And it does all of this. It's like they're made to it's like Coke and Pepsi, like it's not, you don't drink it differently. Like there is that's exaggeration, but like
No, dude, it's extraordinarily well received. I don't know enough about how it functions to feel competent. Like the fact that you lose context every time, I had no idea until you just said that.
No,
I've
but
been
you
under the
can there
assumption
you
this
can
entire time that context was, to be honest with you, the value proposition behind using a lot of these tools.
but you can save all of those conversations. You can do it. I promise you. I've done it. And in fact, the latest Claude update is tweaked it a little bit, but it
Yeah.
requires spending money and changing your infrastructure. So I save everything to Superbase. I have an automatic backup every time the entire conversations. So if I create a new rule, hook, skill, all of that, Claude owns none of it. It's portable up. And I have it put in such a way that it's platform agnostic, but you have to set it up through Superbase to have that back end, and you can use something other than Superbase, but you can save all of your conversations. I can go from 10 conversations before and it'll pull my previous ones and know what I'm discussing. I have to tell it, hey, I want to refer you back to, and I'll tell it to do a grep on a certain word, and it just pulls it back up. But it does require Superbase, and I'm happy to do a workshop to show everybody. There's no gatekeeping here. There's way too much time and money spent on it, but I promise you, you can save all of it.
I
Can
think
I
we were
just say
doing a
one
lot
thing
simpler than
too?
that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Stacy.
Yeah, no, well, I just want to say I do the same thing, but I do it differently. So everything that I do is in my repo, my GitHub repo. And it's same as you, Jason. That's what I set up to build something that could work at every station. I use the whole aviation metaphor. So no matter what, if I'm taking a flight, no matter what station I'm going to, I even take it to Manus. I take it to ChatGPT. Now, Manus and ChatGPT are not writing to my repo, but they can read everything. And if I want them to do something, they can do it. And then I have a thing now where I have a folder in my repo where I just download and save a summary if I go to those stations and they can't write a handbook to give for it to read back. So my whole thing is set up that way. I can go wherever I want and I can use it. That's what I'm out to create. And that's what I'm creating. It was in my own mind, it was similar to, I guess, what OpenClaw is supposed to be, but it's what I'm creating. I have a lot of things. And with you, Jason, I would love for us to maybe do some kind of a workshop where we show the different ways that we do some of the similar or same things, or you have one, then I have one, where we show what we're doing. Because I think that that's important, that people see that there are other ways to do this. But I agree with everything you said about you can do this. And that is the whole point. You want to, because I can take it to Codex and I can have it read my repo and it reads the same code and everything I just did. And I do that now with anti-gravity and with Claude. That's why you commit and you push and you save it. And then you go to the next station and it reads everything you just did, because sometimes I want to work in co-work because I want something done that in a way that I don't want to do it in one of the others. So I go to it and it has everything I just did. It can read it and it can move forward with it. Then I commit it back to my repo, which is my GitHub repo, and I open it back up in Claude code in anti-gravity or whatever I want. So same.
So Stacy's
Sorry,
using
Dylan.
GitHub repo the same way Jason's using Superbase, is what it sounds like.
Yes.
Would that be valuable, a talk, y'all, if we wanted to tee Stacy and Jason up on how they're doing this?
Hey,
Y'all want
Stacy,
And
don't be
Dylan.
salty. That made me so happy. You have no idea. That was so refreshing. Uh,
Yeah, let's do it. Stacy and Jason, if y'all want to chat and pick a day that's not already spoken for, which I think I only have two. The 22nd is spoken for by my mentor. But I'd love for y'all to do a presentation on how you do that. I have a horribly childish and petulant opinion on this, incidentally. For as long as I'm getting the output I want, I don't want to switch. And then once I drop beneath, for me, it's 70%-ish. Once I drop beneath 70%, then I'm willing to move. And if I had something that was systemized the way that you've described, Dylan, and Jason and Stacy that allowed me to switch with ease, I bet you would weaponize my life and I'd probably be 3 times as productive. So I'd love to learn that as well. I think that would be a great use of our time. We need to move quick because I got little boys that got to go to the Scottsdale Fair, which is in town over at Westfield. So I've got 3 hands up, and I'd like to wrap up as soon as we can. And I don't want to dishonor y'all because you stuck it out on the call. Neil, you're first. Elliot, you're on deck. Jason's after, or Jacob's after him. Excuse me. And I don't think I'm going to be calling on anybody else after that. So these are the 3, and we're locked down. And Neil, go ahead. You're muted, but you look compelling, like the lean in. This was powerful body language. It was very like, I'd vote for you, dude. That's where we are now.
All right. Is my audio coming through?
Yep, you sound great.
Okay. Just, as soon as you need it, it cuts out. And I think all the conversations we've been having today kind of circles back to, I think, what Brandon was talking about earlier about whether you're actually becoming more productive with AI or not. And like for me, it's been hugely effective as far as becoming more productive. But there's a balance. And 3M is the classic B school, business school case where they invented the 15% time. And basically, if you were working for 3M, you could allocate 15% of your time towards your own personal projects. No boss needed to sign off on anything, and you could develop whatever you were interested in. And so it's like, the way I implement the things that Jason and Stacy were just talking about was, I layered in with my second brain. So all of my conversations go into a markdown file that goes into that same folder. And so, it's implementing whatever works for you, right? Because I know I've mentioned this before, but I think AI is convergent rather than divergent.
What does that mean?
Well, what that means is that regardless of whatever tool you're looking at, whether it's ChatGPT or Grok or Anthropic or whatever, is that the body of human knowledge is it's not fixed, but it is limited and growing. And so they are consuming the same information, regardless. And, they have their own little tweaks and their own interpretations of things, but it will converge on similar-ish kind of places. So in Cosmos' metaphor of the rocket ships, like they're all going to the same place. And yeah, one might be slightly faster than the other, but whatever works for you as far as your comfort level and your technical skills. Like, we had this argument at Driven last week. Sunit was on stage with me. We were talking about Claude Code versus Cowork versus Perplexity, and fundamentally, it doesn't matter. It's just whatever works for you is going to get the job done. And if you have systems that you have repeatable, intelligent steps, that's a system that can be automated with AI. And you just attack those. You can just grow your productivity one step at a time.
That was I got into a fight and I lost with Lior Weinstein and who else was there? Joe Stolte was there, and they both said exactly what you just said, which is if the systems are repeatable, that's something you and I wanted to fight them on it because in my mind that feels to me like the secondary use of AI. Like if a system is repeatable, that to me is like Zapier or N8N. It's when I want to get from A to B and I don't always know how to get there. That's when AI has fulfilled upon its promise. That's what I want out of it.
Well, I would say those are different use cases. So one is agentic workflow and the other is ideation. And those are both good use cases for AI, but they are used in completely different ways. So like if I have a I don't know, let's say I have a boss and I have to fill out the same report with different information, but the same type of style every week for some, reporting purpose. AI agents can do that automatically, and we can fire, 100 people in whatever department it is, right? Like Brian was talking about. But and that's all well and good. If I'm trying to figure out a new thing that I need to workshop with other people or with another intelligence, that's where the That's where that conversational ideation comes from. But that's not going to be automated, right? That's not going to increase your productivity directly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that like with 3M, they had their 15% time. That would be in that exploratory kind of framework rather
Yeah.
than trying to get something specific done.
It'd be fun to just take a bunch of AI agents, load them up, and then tell them Google had 30% for a long, long time. And you could say, I want you to use 30% of the token. I want $100 million net to me after taxes. And I want you to use 30% of your tokens, and I want you to try to get me to $100 million net to me after taxes within the confines of my values, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Neil. Thanks for that, dude. I appreciate it. Elliot, you're up. Jacob, you're on deck.
So in the spirit of bullet point time, I'll try to be really, really succinct. One, I think it would be really useful for everybody if Dylan spent in another call going over for 5 minutes about how he kind of protects his context and thinks about that when using AI. Because I've had some chats with Dylan over the past couple of weeks where I think it would be very useful for people to hear about why he does that and what it achieves, in terms of not letting the context corrupt or spiral. And then two, I actually had a closing request, Kasim, because I was really interested because you mentioned, you've been doing more reviewing on these service industries and the fact that they're continuously failing digitally. I'd actually really love to hear, and I think it'd be useful and interesting for everybody to hear the high level of the 80/20 of what's going wrong, mostly there in those industries.
I'd be happy to talk about that. I'll tee up a call for it. Thank you for the prompt. Dylan, how do you feel about Elliot voluntolding you to tell us about context? Do you want to do a call on that?
Yeah, he's gonna have to inform me what exactly I do that is so impressive.
Tell Dylan what to tell us, honey. That's the problem with smart people is they don't know how smart they are. I'll let y'all two hash it out. Dylan, you tell me when you're ready. So we've got 2 call requests right now. It's Stacy and Jason. Is that a dual call or are those separate calls for each of you?
It sounds like they're kind of aligned. If we're talking about maintaining context for the purpose of keeping things tight and not having conversation rot, there's value in that tremendously.
I want to call it the
don't-
Lazy Susan. You know, Lazy Susan, the dinner table. I just want to be able to Lazy Susan my AI and just turn it however it is I want it. So Jason and Stacy will teach us that. Let us know when you're teed up for it. And we need a funny name for Dylan's. Because it sounded like context protection. So maybe it's like the perpetual fetch.
I would think that Dylan should probably go first though, because
His will inform yours.
right,
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it'll cut down on how much is actually being saved. Yes.
Love it. Awesome.
Can I give a thought? I think that yes, Dylan should do his. Maybe Jason and I do it together, or let Jason share from his perspective and what he's got going on. And then whatever wasn't already covered that I do different that I think could provide additional value, or even better, if you let me go last, what I gather and learn and reinvent after the great things we learned from Dylan and then Jason, that will wrap it up. Those are my thoughts.
I love that. We just start stacking value. I think this is great. Let's plan on it. Jacob.
Man, dude, where would we even start? There's so much to talk about here, but I'm gonna make it super quick because I think it needs to stay super simple. So to go off what Neil's saying, I think that like the problem with AI right now is that, and I have to give you a little pushback to you, Qasim, is that trying to get it to do things actively is a mistake. It's like how much coal do I have to burn to generate the electricity to make the electric car to not use gas? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's right now, it's not worth the time. Like AI is meant to automate. AI is meant to scrub the toilets, if you will. It's like if I have a comment or a response back to somebody and I'm like, hey, help me respond back to this person, and then I try to reiterate it like 5 times using AI, I might as well have just written the comment back to him or responded back. So it's like you gotta be, I think you gotta be really careful with AI because you will spend more time wasting time than you will be productive trying to make it right. I asked Claude yesterday, I was like, hey, I had this crazy idea. What if I use a local LLM on my computer to do the busy work and you do the brains? And it was like, yeah, that would be great, but you will spend more tokens building that than you will if you had just used me to just do it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things. I think it has to stay like really, really simple right now. And I think, and I don't want to be mean here, I don't think we're the people to discover or change that for now. I think it would be Dylan's type people to make AI one day to where it's like you could just tell it what you want and it just does it perfectly or close to it. But for right now, it's just not doing it. It's just not worth your time. I think it's like using AI to, if you build a workflow, you're like, I want to get from A to B to C to D. I know exactly how I want to do it. There's no question. And then you start slowly automating those things out and cutting things out. But it's like an automation process to where, again, you don't want to be like actively using AI to do stuff that you could have just done it yourself, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I just context for what I'm thinking because it might be a definitions issue. Um, and it could also be a form of use issue. For me, the unlock with AI as it comes to the work that I do, which everybody who works for me is chuckling now because they're like, "What do you do?" But I was in active litigation recently, and um, it's fun because the task becomes the constraint. And I got better at AI while in active litigation uh, than I have in any other attempt because it meant so much to me. I'm in litigation and I'm trying to solve very, very, very complex problems that my $900 an hour attorneys cannot solve. And because I had an AI tool and I knew how to use it and I got real creative with the way that I approached that use, that to me was it got me from A to B in a way that and it was a path that had not been paved before was the point that I'm trying to make. So for my use, that felt way more productive than, oh, there are tasks that are performed on a regular basis and I'm going to go try to build those tasks out. Um, and I think what we might be discussing here, to be honest with you, is just how to use AI from a roles perspective. Like if you're a founder or a business owner or a visionary or whatever weird moniker we use for ourselves, I don't think using AI to build processes and procedures is an unlock. I actually think that's something that should be delegated. Now, if you have to do shit every single day, because I don't, I think that I understand exactly what you're saying, and I hope that didn't feel like a flex. I'm not trying to be a douchebag. But I do, because dude, what I do all day is I train entrepreneurs. And when an entrepreneur is sitting there in the weeds building shit, I'm like, stop that. That is not what you should be doing. And that's where I see all entrepreneurs going. They go, oh, instead of an employee, I have this AI tool, and I'm going to go try to rebuild my employee with this AI tool by building out the same processes that the employee is doing. That's the thing that I think is massively flawed. Because it's like, I'm going to take this marginal expense and I'm going to try to replace it with a much lower marginal expense. And it's penny wise and pound foolish when I'm like, dude, don't save whatever it ends up being, $3,500 a month or $6,500 a month or something. Go find the 60,000 or 600,000 or 6 million a month that's available to you in the chasm that AI can allow us to cross. So how did I do there? Was that,
I think that was fantastic because I didn't want to say, because you obviously know what you're doing, and I didn't want to come across
dude, I
that way.
don't know that I do. I am
I
terrified. Every
think
day
you
of my
do. I
life, I
think you
wake
know.
up like, how do I stay relevant?
I think as soon as he gets off the call, Costume's just like, yeah, I know exactly what you know.
That's so funny.
No, so what I'm trying to say is because when we go in this conversation, we keep talking about what tool to use, how to do this productively, how to build this, how to do that, and it's like it goes down to like the most basic, simple thing ever. And I think Neil said it like with your calendar, for the example. It's like if you don't know how to do your calendar, then
Right.
you're in trouble, right? Like you need to know like the most basic thing of like even if you don't know what you're doing, like what am I trying to do? Like what am I like exactly trying to do? Because I just made a video about this that 90% of the internet is actual garbage now.
Mm,
So when you ask AI to go build you something amazing from 90% garbage, what do you think you're going to get back? Right? And
right.
so you have to like find people that know exactly what they're doing in their space and then use that as a source of truth and then foundationally build it out and then use AI to automate it. But again, I just get concerned with some of the conversations about what tool to use best because then we just keep chasing our tails. And I don't know. I think it's endless. I think we will have this conversation and hash out for years and years and years and years, and it will never stop changing. But the most foundational stuff will probably not change.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think that the leapfrog game is a little dangerous, and we kind of have to keep our finger to the pulse because you do want to watch for like global atrophy. I like what Dylan said. I'm pretty sure I'm engineering and not entrepreneuring. Here's the thing is we need both. You know, we need people that are really building it, and then we need, but I think that the entrepreneurs who try to engineer are dangerous. And I think the entrepreneur and the engineers that try to entrepreneur need help. Because when I watch engineers try to entrepreneur, they build. And it's like, dude, stop building, go sell. Build nothing. If you know what I mean, put it on a napkin and sell the thing. Because if you can't do that, then you're not doing it right.
Well, Kasim, can I push back on you for a second there?
Please, yeah.
So, the way I think of business, and this is specifically for business, there's only four things. There's marketing, there's sales, there's fulfillment, and then there's support. All businesses are some combination of those things and what they're selling changes and how they sell it changes, but that's it, right? So the so when you're talking about engineering versus building, I was like, well, yeah, you need both because a thing doesn't happen until it is sold, and if you don't have anything to sell, then you need to do that. So I think basically I agree with Jacob, who agrees with me that it really it's all we're trying to do as entrepreneurs is solve people's problems. That's the whole thing, right? You have to be aware of the problem. You have to reach somebody who has that problem. You have to convince them that you know how to fix their problem. Then you have to sell them the thing, and then you have to actually do the work, right? It's the whole entrepreneurial arc. And AI is a repeatable, programmable unit of intelligence to apply at any one of those stages.
Hmm.
And
That
it
was
can
really
be
beautifully stated, dude. Just what you did. I want to draw a circle around that, and I think that that's a replay moment because that's a good encapsulation of how to think about it. Keep going. Sorry.
yeah, it's just rather than getting down into the weeds as far as this platform versus that platform, or I do it this way and somebody else does it that way. It's just that okay, now you have an encoding of the world's knowledge base as far as has been committed to written text on the internet, which is a lot. 98% of all human knowledge is contained there. And you can now apply that to those issues that you have. And so it's just start at step one, whatever that step is for you. And I think none of the rest of this really matters.
I think I agree. And isn't step one sales?
No, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. So like all of the things that I make are out of my own pains in my own business. That granted, I already have a business that exists,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm solving my own problems and then I'm offering it to other people. It's like, hey, if I have this problem, you might also, because I've dealt with thousands of you. So probably, you know, um, and so, I'm going kind of like from the inside out, but you could go from the outside in. That's fine too. And I was just like last week I was on another call and this kid who's, 20 something wants to get into making local websites and everything. And he's like, yeah, and I was
saw your note. You screamed at him for some
I
reason.
didn't well, I didn't scream at him, but like everybody was saying, oh, that's super interesting. And then, I chimed in and I was like, are you doing this as a hobby or are you trying to make a business? And he's like, well, I want to get experience and I want to make some money. And I said, okay, how much money, how much experience? And I really kind of pinned him down on the call. And I try to do it with love, but because fiddling around with CSS is not gonna get the job done, right? That's not the level of abstraction you need to be at in order to
Mm.
solve those problems in today's marketplace. So just whether it's sales or whether it's marketing or whether it's fulfillment or whether it's support, wherever you are in that stack, just use the operational intelligence that we have now to get it done.
I don't have time right now, but I'd really love to have this conversation. I have a thesis on what I call the broken wheel of business. And I'd love for y'all to beat it up, to be honest with you, because that's the conversation we're having right now. And so I just have a way that I've approached things and
You have
and
a
the way that
framework?
sorry, a
You have a
framework. Thank
framework?
you. Yeah, I have a framework for it. And the broken wheel of business is broken for a reason. And everybody looks at it and they go, "Oh God, my business is broken." And it's like, yeah, that's because that's how businesses are built. But the ones that work tend to start in a specific way, or at least the ones that I've seen work. And I also have a sample size problem because most of my visibility is from a paid traffic lens, which is a very specific type of business, generally speaking. I got a hop because we're going to the fair. I'm going to eat a turkey leg and probably some churros, if I'm being honest with you. Y'all, these calls are amazing. I felt uncomfortable today a couple of times in a really important way. And I just want to say these words out loud because I am human and I have the bad habit of allowing myself, how do I phrase this? I can feel my ego bristle sometimes when I get caught doing stupid things. And I've been caught doing stupid things probably 3 times on this call. And I think the same inclination everybody does, which is to jump to my own defense and justify what it is that I'm doing, when really what I need to do is STF you and listen. And so I'm saying this out loud because I'd love to be held accountable to that. So I'm so grateful for that feeling. It's one that I'd like to just signal in my mind as a growth opportunity. Like I know when I feel that I'm about to grow. And this call was actually hard for me for a couple of reasons in a couple really, really, really good ways. So thank you for making it hard. That's what I want. I want the good kind of hard in life. It's fun to be around people that are willing to bring about the good kind of hard. I love that people are willing to challenge. Um, and I love that people want to volunteer to share too, by the way. That's really, really extraordinary. Stacy, Jason, Dylan, appreciate y'all for getting put on the spot. Would love to put you on the calendar. I don't want these to go away. So I also don't want to force you into it either. Here's what I'll say is the spot is yours if you want it. The ball is now in your court to schedule it. So if you don't see another guest speaker in the school calendar, choose a slot. Let me know. I'll have Gina tee you up. We'll promote it on socials. The further out it is, the more we get to promote it, which is always kind of fun. Grant's call was extraordinary. I had more feedback on that call than anyone we've done so far. And so I'd love to replicate that. And I appreciate all the newbies who are showing up. I think these calls continue to get better and better and better. I am feeling like we probably need some guardrails as far as how they're run and managed and maybe a better moderator, which Clinton specifically has been pushing for in a really, really beautiful and very empathic way. And so let me think about how to structure that. Too much structure kills the calls, not enough structure kills the calls. And so we have to find a way to navigate this. But I really appreciate all y'all. If there's something I can do better, please hit me up in the WhatsApp group. If you're not in the private WhatsApp group, I'm going to share the link right now in the chat. If you're not on the Zoom room, you don't get the link because you have to come to the Zoom room in order to get the link. If you want to be here, all you have to do is go to dailysigh.ai and you can join our free forever community. The Zoom calls are free. The mastermind is free. If you want these calls summarized and sent to your inbox daily and or weekly, go to dailysigh.ai. If you want to hire a member of the council, we actually have a page for you to do that. It's called councilpages.co. It was built by our very own Grant Fullenbach. If somebody gets hired from that damn thing, you got to go tip Grant somehow, some way. We got to find a way to comp Grant for that because that was a really extraordinary give. And I'll continue to promote it. And I'd love for everybody to continue to build out their pages because there's some really extraordinary talent on these calls. And if you're watching this live, most of these folks are in business. A lot of what they're talking about, they do for a living. And if you were to reach out, be respectful of their time and offer to pay them ahead of time, I bet you they'd be willing to do it for you. So to the council, thanks for being here. Really, really appreciate all y'all. Learned a lot today. To everybody watching live, thank you for tuning in. I go live every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern. Love y'all, mean it. I'll see you tomorrow.